Welcome everyone to another session of our very special webinars in order to boost your employability skills. I am Mirta Aguirre, I'm the head of employability at Virtual Internships, and today my guest speaker is going to be Blessy. Blessy is one of our amazing career coaches. Probably you've had a session with her, or if not, maybe you will in the future. And let's remind a little bit what we've done so far, so we can understand a little bit the path we've covered the past 2 weeks. So we've had 4 webinars about how to improve your resume, how to boost your LinkedIn profile and your networking skills, how to search for a job and how to apply for a job. This was 2 days ago. And yesterday we had our employability webinar on hybrid and remote work. All the sessions are recorded and will send a follow-up email with you to you with the recording as well as with these slides. So today, tomorrow morning, I will be sending the complete deck of slides, so you have everything we've seen in these webinars in case you missed one or in case you want to make sure you have all the information, because we've learned a lot. So today is about interviewing, and basically we're gonna understand best practices to prepare for a technical interview. So Blessy, without further ado, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you so much, Mirta. Thank you for your, time. And yes, welcome each and every one of you for this, session. And I am based in Vietnam, so it's like, 1 a.m. for me, but 10 in the morning for you guys, if you are all from under the Pacific time, right? So yes, it's so nice to, connect with each and every one of you, specifically, being a part of your journey, of your employability journey. And through this internship program, we can connect with you and can, help you and guide you throughout this whole process. I'm pretty sure of the fact that this past webinars that you all have attended must have been super resourceful for you and would have thrown light in your whole preparing journey. And I'm pretty sure if you just try to practice all of these things, this will definitely help you guys to get through one of those steps in your career. So today we're going to focus on technical interview. And but before we get started, I'd like to share with you, like, you must have worked in your CV, you worked in your LinkedIn, you worked in how to search for a job, and the most important part is interview. So when we talk about interview, the very first thought that comes in our mind are some jitters, butterflies in our stomach, like how we work on it. So preparing ourselves is the most important key when we are acing an interview. If you prepare pretty well, if you did your homework, I think you're confident enough in putting yourself right in front of the interviewer. So we'll be talking about technical interview. Majorly, what is technical interview? You all are into the tech sector. You are sitting with a hiring manager and you are a professional applied for a role. So they'll be specifically looking for your technical aspects, checking an IT specialist or a software developer, looking into their technical skills and how well you are for that particular role in the organization. So it includes, different remote coding assignments, giving you testing, like whether you worked on these aspects or not, and then working on that if you're a best fit for the organization. So as we move further, we're going to look into the different practices that you need to follow or you need to keep in mind when you're preparing yourself for the technical interviews. So what are the common things or the common traits an employer will consider when they assess an interviewee for the interview process? Most importantly, your characteristics, how you present yourself, your grooming, your manners, your good eye contact, how you present, putting yourself right in front of them, how you express yourself, how confident you are in showcasing your talents and skill set right in front of them. That is how you're expressing yourself. Then how mature enough you are. A complete understanding of the job role and how well you're balancing it with your understanding with what you can give them and how you can value a whole situation and strike a balance between a scenario and finding a solution to it. So maturity from your previous experiences with what you've carried forward and what you can give it to them. And as we move forward, we can see some other traits as well. Yes, your personality. Personality is like an overall thing, talking about your experience, your knowledge, your enthusiasm, your goals, your vision, how you present yourself, everything. I mean, how outward you are, right? I mean, are you shy? Are you, outgoing person, good enough to fit into that culture, trying to be adaptable, intercultural communication, etc. Talking about your experience. Yes, definitely, they'd love to know about your experience, what kind of an academic achievements you've had, the kind of projects you've attended, you've worked on, the kind of activities you're involved in, extracurricular, your skills in job, okay, straight out of the university if you are, the kind of projects you worked on. I mean, your previous work experience in the organization, any particular project that you worked on, and you're super proud of it. You talk about that, okay? Enthusiasm and interest. I think your enthusiasm and your interest is something that has brought each and every one of you right in front of us, and that's the reason you guys are attending this, because you're enthusiastic to get through one of the most important role in an organization, and that's the reason you're even attending this webinar. So are you really interested even for this particular role that you applied for? Why this particular? I mean, even the employer you would like to work with, the particular industry, something that really invokes your interest to get through that. And your career goals. Yeah, super important. How your professional goals, how your professional life aligns with the company's goal and vision. So many things are there that they're really going to test and check and assess you guys on when you're appearing for an interview. So these are some of the common traits an employer will consider when they assess you for an interview. Okay. Now, some of the qualities that you really need to show when you are working on a technical interview are definitely the word technical talks about your technical knowledge. That's a very common thing. Now, if you just talk about technical aspects, the technical specific elements that are there in the role or in the job that you've applied for, the problem solving skills, something that your particular ability to overcome a particular problem or a challenge, and how you're finding a solution to it and creating a productive result and a desired result for the organization at the workplace, and bringing it in alignment with the company's goal and the vision that they've set apart. Okay, so that's something that they're going to check. Even your technical knowledge, etc. They're going to have different kind of tests, assessments, etc., which we'll be looking for in the upcoming slides. And they'll be checking your creativity, how creative you are as an individual in putting forward the company's name in the market, the goodwill, how you respond to a particular situation or scenario, and how you try to thrive into that particular position. I mean, not only focusing on the roles and responsibilities given to you, even showcasing interest from your end at the workplace in finding solution to a situation and scenario, taking in that extra effort from your end. And that is something that even shows your passion towards the role that you've even applied for. That shows your creativity. Okay. When we talk about communication and your cultural fit, I mean, whether you're the perfect fit for the company's culture and company's value, which definitely you get to know when you read about the company's website, you get to know about their vision, their values, the goals of the company. You understand this is the kind of a personality or a professional value we really need in an individual. So they're going to assess you based on that, how you communicate, your verbal communication, your non-verbal communication, working remotely, answering to mails, in a meeting you are, how different it is from how you present yourself. I mean, so many aspects are there that's going to be, looked into when you are preparing and when you're presenting yourself for a technical interview. So keep these points in mind when you're preparing yourself or when you're starting your journey for your interview, okay, your technical interview specifically. And yes, we have different types of interviews taking place, and I'm pretty sure of the fact each and every one of you must be knowing about, we have one-on-one session, panel interviews, behavioral and group interview. So, whenever you get a job, your interview application, you just apply for a position and you get an invitation for an interview. Make it a point that you just ask this question: what type of job interview would be conducted, so that it's easy for you guys to prepare yourself in that manner. If it is a panel interview, okay, I'm having a set of experts who'd be asking me these questions. So I need to be prepared in that manner. Okay, if it's a one-on-one thing, this is a person, this is a guy who's going to question me, and this is how I really need to prepare myself. So it's always good to ask questions via email or different platforms that you've been using. Yes, and since you must have like completed your internship or about to finish your internship, you know how remote internships work. Working with organization under different time zone, you people are under different time zone, and just trying to work with people from different culture, different backgrounds. So many things are there when technical aspect is there when you're having an interview on a remote basis and also in an in-person. So you need to check on your technology. Technology is the most important aspect for us when we are preparing for a remote interview. We need to practice pretty well our virtual communication, practice pretty well, record yourself and see checking the technical aspects, etc. Looking professional, dressing yourself. How are you going to represent yourself in an organization? Right. Checking the time zones. Okay, I was being invited for this, session. Okay, I checked what time it is. 1 a.m. for me, 10 a.m. for you guys. So we need to be very, clear about the fact what time is my interview. You need to check all these aspects, asking questions about, the organization. You need to ask direct questions when it is a remote interview. For example, okay, I'm joining for a remote role. So you can probably ask the question, how are we going to connect with the other teammates in our organization? How often are we going to connect with each other? So that's the kind of question you can ask. What kind of activities we are going to have to get to know better each other, roles and responsibilities, feedback, etc. Similarly, in-person interview, trying to reach much in advance to overcome, situations that can come up. So you need to plan accordingly. You need to know the kind of questions that you're going to ask. Need to be prepared for, the proper formal in-person greeting. You enter a room, you greet yourself, you introduce yourself, you shake hands with them, you then sit appropriately, present yourself, coming up with the required documents if they have asked you. So these are the different, pointers you really need to keep in mind, how different is a remote and an in-person interview. Okay, so just keep these points in mind. As we move further, yes, it's like a prep list. Okay, a quick look into it. Okay, I need to put a tick mark onto these things while I'm preparing for my interview. Trying to familiarize yourself with the technology, making sure internet is reliable. Okay, if a situation comes up, what is the backend I have? Anything can happen. So how am I going to make sure I have a backup so that it doesn't hinder my whole process? I prepared pretty well, and some technical challenges coming in its way. That's definitely going to put you into a situation. Then you're going to look for a suitable interview environment. Sitting in a space, completely, lit up space where you're sitting properly, presenting yourself, checking everything around yourself with a background, professional background, etc. Dressing yourself professionally, which I've already discussed in the previous slide. Yes, you can see when I started sharing my screen, some kind of technical challenges came on its way. So Mirta is like sharing the screen for me. So this is a homework for me to get it checked. So practical virtual communication. Yes, you can just record yourself. You can just practice looking in front of the camera, presenting yourself, and then just trying to see the recording and just seeing that where you really need to improve yourself. Probably preparing your elevator pitch, how you're presenting yourself, how are you just talking about yourself, how much time are you taking. So many things are there. Even like mock interviews also that is being conducted, you can record, you can get some kind of feedbacks on them. So many wonderful websites are there that I can share with you. Preparing your digital materials. Definitely you're preparing for a tech interview. So definitely they're going to give you some kind of assessments based on your knowledge, based on your experience. And you have to be prepared with all these digital materials, your whiteboards, your online, if you're doing some kind of coding. So how are you going to show it to them and present it to them? Okay, make a folder wherein you put in all your basic, required your documents like your resume, your cover letter, other relevant documents, your certificates, etc. So that if they're asking, you can just pull it out then and there, and then you can show it to them at that. trying to anticipate technical issues, which I've already discussed, in the previous point. Researching about the company, super important. Getting to know, when you work, preparing yourself for cultural, behavioral kind of questions. There are different questions. The answer to these questions lies in the company's culture and company's value. What is something that they're looking for? Apart from your technical aspect, your core values, does that align with the company's core values? Does it reflect on the work that you're doing, the responsibilities that you're fulfilling? And does that bring you closer to company's goal and vision and striking a balance between your goals and vision? So you need to do that research about the company, and that even helps you as an individual to, ask better questions towards the end of your interview. That's a good rapport that's being created. And that shows how inquisitive and how interested also you are to know about the organization, and even how excited you to join that organization. And also preparing questions, yes, something that I've already covered right now. As we move further, yes, we're going to look into how to prepare for a technical interview. Yes, one of the most important aspects, as we all know, is considering the tools and skills necessary for the tool. Then study helpful books and digital publications, which I believe you must doing at this moment, and practicing for the interview, preparing to ask questions, taking the time you need in preparing your digital materials. So as we move further, we're going to check considering the tools and skills that are required necessary for that particular role. So whenever we apply for a position in an organization, we have to go through the job description. That is a key for us to understand what the recruiter or what the interviewer is going to ask us at that time. So it helps us to understand what kind of responsibilities are being fulfilled for this particular role. Probably these are the tools being used in this organization. These are the skills these guys are looking for. And this is something that they're expecting out of me. And this particular thing is quite necessary or really important for this role that I've applied for. Maybe knowing about some particular coding languages, what exactly you did when you did your internship. What were the roles and responsibilities you've handled over there? Did you learn about something new there and you're aware of that? So you're trying to prepare yourself on all those aspects. Okay, as we move into the next slide, we'll see this first point in an elaborate manner. So as I told you, the job description gives you a basic understanding about that. Now, when you're going through that job description, you're able to create an action plan and create a complete structure, what you can study and what you can understand for the particular interview, and what kind of questions can be asked by focusing on the basic principles and requirement for that particular technical role. And you prepare based on that. And even if you're unaware of some tools or not very clear about those skills, you can just use the things right in front of you, or probably reflect on your internship, the kind of feedback you got. What is something that my supervisor told me to work into, and how I worked on that? So reflecting on your previous experiences, you can definitely prepare yourself. And yes, using even ChatGPT to ask some common basic questions. Good amount of answers are there. Now, what happens in that case? It definitely helps you to prepare yourself better. You come up with more ideas from your end, and you tend to be more confident. So this is how you consider the tools and the skills necessary for the role. And we move on to the next one. Study helpful books and digital publications. Yes, something that I always focus on during my coaching sessions with my interns. Use your internship as a platform to discuss with your supervisor for an informational interview, discussing and asking them, what are the different books that they've been reading? What is something that they can suggest you? Probably, subscribing to some industrial newsletter. Even if you guys join some specific career groups like on LinkedIn as well, you'll be getting some kind of, access to some pop-up comes up. Okay, you can subscribe to this particular, worksheets or probably this newsletters, etc. You just have to put in your email address and you have that subscription. At least that will give you a complete knowledge. Expand your horizons and your knowledge about the industry. And you're also up to mark with the new trends in technology and the industrial insights. And you're aware of the changes that are taking place. And you are in a sector where a new change comes up every single day. You sleep tonight, tomorrow morning you get up, in some part of the world, some new change is there. So you're aware of that. Online coursework, yes, really great. I mean, even if you just use LinkedIn, just put in, click on events, click on courses, you'll see ample options right in front of yourself. Just click onto that, register that. Okay, if you're not able to attend, at least you can watch the recorded sessions. So make use of that and prepare yourself pretty well so that you're aware and confident. Now, when we are practicing for interview, there are different kind of questions that is being asked. Standard, competency, culture, scenario, or role-based questions. Now, what are these? And how am I going to prepare myself? I mean, there is so much, it looks too much. But if you just try to declutter and just try to focus on one at a time, it's going to make your work easy, I promise you. So as we talk about the standard questions, what is that? The commonly asked questions. What are they? Tell me about yourself. What are you interested in this position? What are your strengths, weaknesses? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? And why should we hire you? Now, when telling you to use ChatGPT, please make sure that you're not copying it and pasting it right from there, the response. It's just to give you an idea as well. Okay, technology is used to make things simpler and make things more accessible for each and every one of us, but not to make us all parasites or completely dependent on them. We need to use this thing that has been given to us, mankind. Right. So start using that. Even when you're preparing the standard questions, just understand, reflect on your previous experiences. What is something that you can add? Draft your answers, take examples from ChatGPT. Probably, reflect on what kind of feedbacks you've got, something that you can talk about yourself and work on it. I mean, you should even look into our, expert series webinars also that we have conducted, even how to ace your interview, wherein I clearly mentioned about, working on your elevator pitch. So you can use that to know more about how to prepare yourself over there. So that can help you to be more, more confident and practice better. So work on that. Now, when we talk about competency-based questions, I mean, it is to look into your past to understand how you behaved in a particular situation and how you understand a particular skill set and a value for the role that you've applied for. Now, very recently, you worked in your internship. After this session that we're going to have, when Mirtha would be sharing, all the follow-up mails, the information, the slides, the presentation, when she'll share it with you, just reflect on these kind of questions based on your internship experience and just try to frame an answer to these questions based on that. Probably a situation was given to you wherein you had to, a very important task that was being given to someone, but that person couldn't do that, and how you tackle that. Or probably reflecting on a situation in your internship where you weren't very confident about that particular role, but your supervisor believed pretty well in you because of your skill set and value, and still you did that pretty well. So reflect on those scenarios and just work on it. How you try to ace that situation. Or a time when you handled a short deadline. Okay, you may be having a full-time role, or probably you even have your internship, and you have to submit this particular internship, particular project. And how did you work on that? What kind of time management skill have you used? What kind of strategy you've used? How did you try to communicate effectively with your supervisor? So reflect on that. So this is to show how you worked in a particular situation and how you used your skill set and value to tackle that. And that also reflects on how you will handle a situation like that even in the near future. Now, when you look into the job description, you'll understand these are the major skills that they're focusing on. You'll be given a situation and scenario wherein you'll be, put up into a situation and you have to answer to those questions, talking about your problem solving, trying to be more critical, managing your time effectively. So work on that. Now, culture-based question, something that I've already discussed. Yes, before that, yes, how to answer the competency questions, super important. I mean, even if you just, put it in ChatGPT, ask ChatGPT this question. I mean, just try and do this. I'll tell you that how to answer competency behavioral kind of questions. One of the major points even ChatGPT puts up is the STAR method. It's super easy because when we start answering to these questions, it's a complete haywire for us. You start somewhere, you end up somewhere. Use a structure. star situation, task, action, and result. Now try to put one of these questions in the star technique. You're describing a situation and when it took place. Then you're explaining the task and what was the goal. Then you're providing a detail about the action you took to attain that particular goal and what was the result of your action. And concluding it again, this is what I have also got to learn, and this is what, the impact the organization had, and this is the way it will add an impact for the role I have also applied for. So just try to put different scenarios and just try to answer using the STAR technique. I'm telling you, your answer is going to be clear, to the point, hitting the bullseye, and putting in every single information the interviewer wants to hear from your end. And as we move forward, we talk about the culture-based questions. Yes. Now, when we talk about the culture questions, it's very important for you to please go through company's website, the company's page, company's vision, company's value. What are the core values they believe in? The kind of, sense and understanding they're expecting from, the members in their organization. And what is something that you are giving them, or what is something you're offering in table? Okay, you're an expert. You are a wonderful software developer. You're an amazing UX UI designer. But you cannot work in a team. You really can't. How is it going to help, right? I mean, this company, something their motto is working together, adaptability, intercultural communication, and you're like, no, I can't do that. Then there's no point in working on that, right? So you need to understand culture questions. They may ask you, do you prefer to work alone or in a team? Okay, if you are a team person, you're a person, you love working in a team, you really don't like working alone, but how to answer questions like that? I really love working in a team because it, gives me an opportunity to connect with others, connect with my team, and also a space for me to expand my knowledge and learn even from others. And it's a two-way process, I also get to learn, they also get to learn. But if the particular project or a particular assignment wants me to work all alone, I can definitely do that as well, because it helps me to focus pretty well on my work and give my best shot. And then later, I reach out to my team and ask for feedbacks from them. So it helps us to build each other together, a group work, a group goal and vision, but along with that, also my goals and vision also that I'm working towards. Similarly, what do you do outside of work for fun? What kind of environment do you thrive in? And how do you contribute to creating a positive and inclusive workspace culture? That defines your values and understanding. So this is an organization that talks about everyone's inclusive to, trying to be equity, inclusion, working with people from different culture, different background. So what is your understanding about that? So they are going to assess you based on that. So you need to be mindful whenever you're doing, preparing for interview, do this homework pretty well. Get into the company's website and know about the organization, okay? And yes, as we move on to the next slide. Scenario or role-specific question. Now, what are some questions you can expect during the interview based on the below job description? Okay, this is for an AWS intern, okay? For example, you're applying for a software developer. You're applying for the position of a cybersecurity specialist. You know what the job description is. You've gone through it pretty well. You know these are the aspects, these are, my roles and responsibilities being asked of me. And how am I going to, what is my ideal day going to be like? And this is how I really need to work on. So these are the kind of questions they can ask me. You can even use ChatGPT. Just use it. I mean, I have tried and tested all these things, and it's been quite resourceful and quite helpful. It really blows your mind with wonderful ideas and wonderful answers that, ChatGPT is using. And it even helps you to, it's like a platform to help you guys to reflect on your previous experience, what exactly you did, and just try to frame your own answers based on that. And when you talk about based on that role specific kind of question, when you're giving an answer, it helps you to bring closer, trying to amalgamate and trying to bring closer your theoretical knowledge and understanding, what you've learned as a theory, putting that into practice, and what you can deliver. Reflect even on your internship experience. This is quite recent, your internship. What were your roles and responsibilities? What did you deliver? And what kind of, how was your ideal day as an intern in this XYZ organization? What was expected out of you? Okay, this was a situation given to me. I failed in the situation, but still I worked on it. What did I get to learn? Probably this is an ideal, thing for me, and I'm going to prepare myself like that. A client reports that they wanted to see an audit log of any changes that was taking place. Okay, just the previous one, Mirka. Yeah. So a client reports that they wanted to see an audit log of any changes made to AWS resources into their account. Now, what can the client do to achieve this? Similarly, just ask questions that is directly aligning to your specific role. Situation like this comes up. How am I going to answer this? Or what are my responsibilities going to be? How am I going to put forward? So prepare yourself and frame answers to those questions based on that. And be very specific. You don't have to elaborate much and talk about it. You just have to be very specific to this. It talks, it tries to assess your problem solving skills and how you're trying to tackle that particular role in an effective manner. As we move forward, the next slide, taking the time you need. Okay. Whether answering take-home coding questions, they can give you questions, you have a limited time, you have to submit that to them, or you have using a whiteboard in a real time at your interview. Take efficient time to solve the problem and check your work. It's not, okay, I've been given a question and I just have to, do it and just give it to them. No, be calm, be composed. Take your sweet time and then prepare yourself and then work on it. Calm and composed if you are, you may be able to focus better and you make your errors. The errors are comparatively less and you feel more confident when you're answering your employer, okay? And your digital materials also. Prepare your interview, before your interview, make sure that the materials that you're using for the technical interview are all prepared pretty well, and maybe a notepad or a pen and other specific tools that you are using, and just check them if all these things are working pretty well. Just practice using them, at least 2 to 3 days before your interview, so that even if you have some doubts, you can, take help from someone who can help and guide you. And as we move forward with the next slide, yes, I think this is not very difficult. It's a very easy thing which we all can practice. Overlooking the best practices is smile. Yes, as you can see, I always keep smiling. Something that I can't stop doing. I mean, if you smile enough, you show that you're really interested in getting that particular role, how
Blessy, I
confident you are, and how are you?
wanna make a contribution here because this I told you before, Blessy is part of my amazing team of coaches. One thing I really loved about Blessy was her attitude during the interview. This was amazing. Blessy came, she was super eager to learn more about the company, and she was like, yes, this is an amazing opportunity for me. And she smiled throughout the whole interview. She showed lots of motivation. And actually, at the moment when I was recruiting for new coaches, then remember coaching how this Blessy, how the story went. At the moment I didn't have any vacancy because we had the opening and then unfortunately we couldn't move forward, and the opening came later on. And I instantly remember Blessy and sent her an email. Blessy, do you remember we had an interview? Are you still interested in the job? Because she was so much enthusiastic, and she really made a difference among other people I had interviewed, right? Who had similar skill set, who had similar background. She was the one who really showed me that extra thing I was looking for. Like among all these candidates, which whom all are super knowledgeable with lots of skills, who stood out, and that was Blessy because of her enthusiasm and how much she was all the time really well disposed and smiled a lot. So for me, Blessing, this was, I think that this was your winning card for the interview. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mirta, and I really appreciate that. And I hope that this really encourages our participants over here. Yes, it's really important. Like, just let them know how motivated you are and what you can offer in table. I mean, definitely your experience talks a lot about your work. Your skill set, your values talks a lot about your work, but how passionate you are and how you can help them in bridging that gap that is lagging behind in their organization, and they're looking for a solution because the company is having a problem and you guys are a solution that can offer them a long run. So trying to make a connection. You okay, even when I had an amazing interview session with Mirta, I mean, Mirta is also from an education background, someone who is, eager to learn, always motivate others. And that is a kind of, a very good relationship I always had with Mirta. That's something that, brought us closer. I mean, a common platform where we can share and where we can learn a lot from each other. Even the coaching team that we have, there is a common interest we all have, something that brings us all closer to evolve, to adapt, and to keep learning. So, building that kind of a connection, probably learning about some technical aspects, asking your interviewer, I mean, know about them, their profile, their profile and everything. I mean, that also reflects into the interview questions and the way they try to assess you to get you into that organization. So it isn't always about what you are going to do for the company, but how you present yourself, how you put forward, and the way you answer your question in front of them, that also brings a lot of change. So keep a very good practice, smiling, showing motivation, making a connection, and bringing it back to the organization. Okay. Yes, as we move further, now this is a very important step, something that I even um, discuss during my final coaching sessions when I have with my participants. Always ask for next steps and contact information. So as soon as you're done with your interview, make sure that you ask this question, like, what are the next steps going to be, and the contact information. Complete any follow-up tasks or tests that you have. Okay, you've been given a coding test, etc. You have to complete that at this specified time. So complete that and submit that before time. Okay, if they're telling you you have to finish it by this date, just don't wait for that last date last time. Anything can happen. Maybe some challenge came your way and you're not able to send it. Get it done beforehand, okay? Anything can happen. Assess your interview performance, something I always keep in mind. It's very important for us to assess and reflect on how was my whole interview, what is something that went pretty well? What kind of question was there? Okay, this is something that they asked me and I was quite confident about it. I'm so happy. Okay, this is the kind of question they asked and I wasn't very confident. I think I could have worked on this question better. Okay, if I get an opportunity for another interview, I am going to, prepare this kind of an answer. So you create a complete, assessment from your end, and then you move forward. It helps you to keep getting better at the work you've been doing. Writing down anything you want to remember. Yes, once you assess your interview performance, you can write down anything that you want to remember, something that you won't, a mistake that you won't commit for the next time. So that for the next interview, okay, this is the thing I'm going to keep in mind and I'm not going to do this thing. Or probably one particular point, even the interviewer may give you a feedback. Oh, I really like this particular, thing of yours. I mean, I really appreciate that. So you remember, oh, wow, okay, this is something this person really appreciated, the kind of answer. Okay, that's good. I never thought about this thing. Okay, then connecting on social media business networking sites. Connecting with them because you never know. The world is small enough, right? I mean, one connection, one opportunity may come your way and you're connecting with each other. You can definitely do that. Sending any supporting documents. Yes, super important. And when you even send a follow-up email as well, thanking them for the opportunity that you've got, okay? Any skill or value that you learn from that particular interview. And you can even send the supporting documents, if any required, you can put it over there, or anything that you have missed during that interview. that you wanted to share about any particular project or task, etc., but you missed it, just put it in that email so that they can read it within next 24 hours after you're done with your interview. Okay. So if you do your interview right now, within next 24 hours, you're writing this follow-up mail and then you're good to go. I think these are the simple steps that you really need to follow when you're preparing for an interview. It sounds too much, but it's okay. Preparing yourself is the key to ace an interview. Please remember this. And yes, even after the session, now we have question and answer session. If you have any questions, please put forward right in front of us and we'll definitely try to help you in the best possible manner. And you can definitely connect with us on LinkedIn, reach out to us and expand your connection. Just try to make the most of what is available right in front of you. Everything is just a click of a button away. So just make sure the click that you're making turns out to be super resourceful for you. Yes, our
Thank you,
employability webinar.
Blessy. Thank you so much for all the great insights you shared. One thing that for me, I guess, I listen to it often, but I never keep on, but I always keep on remembering how much the importance of being prepared, right? I think one takeaway I have from this webinar is preparation is essential. It is so helpful. We can manage the situation very differently if we are prepared. And being prepared means also knowing ourselves, right? If I know that I get anxious, if I know that I get super nervous when I'm asked a particular set of questions, or if I have a challenge seeing the other person in the eye, or then I need to be aware of that, right? And someone here is asking precisely, how can I here they used how can I control my nerves, but I'm gonna say use the word control, right? How can I manage being nervous for an interview? What tips could you share, Blessy?
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to say it's absolutely normal to be nervous. If you guys tell me, Blessy, tomorrow you have an interview, even Blessy will get nervous being a career coach. And that's absolutely fine. Sometimes it's good to be nervous. It's okay. It's fine. I mean, we don't know what's coming in right in front of us. As Milka stated, the key is preparing yourself pretty well. If you did your homework pretty well, I think you can control yourself well. You have a situation, there would be interviews. If you are nervous, if you have a situation, just track down. Why are you getting nervous? Is it the fear of being judged? Is it the fear of being, presenting yourself? What is it? Just track that down. And it's absolutely fine even if you don't know answer to any particular question. It's better to say, I am not knowing about this thing, rather than bluffing about that question into an answer, right? And just try to, before your interview, it's a small tip from my end. I mean, I don't know if it works for you guys. Just try not to prepare at the last 10 to 15 minutes of your interview. It's okay. Whatever you prepared, you did your homework, do it in advance. And just try to focus on your energies, okay? Be positive. Whatever it is, I'm just going to put my, best foot in right in front of them. Breathe in, breathe out. Have water. Keep a glass of water, okay? And then go ahead with it. Even if you feel that in this interview, I was very anxious, I was very nervous, I was very, in a very bad state, just reflect on what went wrong and just keep working on that. And it's absolutely fine. Just go ahead with it. Okay. And whenever you prepare for mock interviews, or when you meet your mentors, or even if you meet your friends or anyone, just ask them, what is something that you notice when I get anxious, how I present myself? Is there anything that you can share with me? Just ask for feedback. I try to do that. I mean, whenever I get an opportunity, when I do ask for feedback, and I ask, like, please tell me that what went wrong so that I can prepare myself on that. Just go for that. Practice breathing exercises. That will definitely help you.
Absolutely.
and do your homework pretty well.
And also, one really interesting piece of advice is practicing power postures. Power postures are basically how the body reacts to our physical posture, right? How we sit, how we expand. So making sure that our body reflects is in a posture of confidence is super important. That is why, putting your shoulders back and sitting tight, it's not only because the other person sees this and interprets that you are confident, but also because your body in this position, it releases all the different hormones and chemicals that make your body understand we are in a power position. You can find this Amy Carroll is the researcher who did a really full and a really nice study about power postures, and you can find it this is a TED Talk, 20-minute TED Talk that is really empowering. So you can also use any resource that can really help you flow better, right? Because as Blessy mentioned, being nervous is totally a human experience. And the idea is not that you are not nervous or don't experience fear. The idea is that you go and have your interview even if you're nervous and even if you're scared. Like, you have to live through the experience. You cannot go around, right? Because if that's a situation, you will never say, oh no. And even sometimes, this is another question we have here. It's like, I was invited for a job interview. I already know I'm not qualified for the role, but some people tell me I should go just to have the experience of learning how to be in these interviews. What do you think, Blessy?
I think, you know, if you ask from the eye of an expert, I mean, you should definitely get practice. I mean, just get a hang of it. But if it is a very good organization and if you just apply and you see that I'm not qualified, you're losing your chance, I believe, right, Mirta? And you just can't keep on applying for that specific role again and again. If in the near future, if you are qualified and you keep on applying regularly, there are organizations that even ban you. So to prepare yourself, to get a hang of that interview, I think there are a good amount of mock interviews. I mean, you can do that, you can use that to prepare yourself and practice better. But apart from that, when you apply for a particular role and in a job description, if you have the major skills, you know, to get that particular work done, go for it. Go for it and give your best shot. I mean, uh, I think when I joined virtual internships, I hope, Mirtha, you remember that I wasn't aware of using CRM systems, but I was so excited that I want to learn. I took the training and I made sure that I'm going to learn this thing, and I learned it. If I thought that, oh my God, Blessy, you don't know what the CRM system is, better don't go for it. I don't think so. You're qualified for this. Go for it. But if you're really not, I think, if you don't have any of the skills for that particular role, then it doesn't make any sense for you to apply for that interview. I think that's going to be a worst case scenario, a worse experience, and trying to put you down, right?
Yes,
Go
I
for
think,
mock in.
yes, I think it's, we need to consider, of course, all the context. If for sure we know we're gonna have a super bad time because it's something, I don't know anything about engineering, it's not my field. Trying to apply, passing an interview about engineering could be horrible for me because where do I start to know? At the same time, if this is a job, for instance, that we applied a while ago and they were waiting for us to send, we were waiting, sorry, for them to send an invitation, and maybe we forgot or have a new job now, and we are not particularly interested in the job, but we say, okay, maybe this is a good time, a good opportunity to practice. that's also a good approach you can take, and really pass as much interviews you can to practice and put yourself in the mood of knowing what it feels like, having this first contact with the person who will interview you. So this is also practice, right? The more we practice, the more comfortable we feel. And confidence is precisely about hours of flight, right? It's like a pilot. Of course, pilots have a lot of training, but also experience. The first hour is going to be okay. The second one is going to be a little bit less intimidating. And after you've done a couple of hours, then you feel like, I know how to do this. Of course, you need to prepare always. And if you follow the tips that Blessy shared with us today, I'm sure it's going to be a much pleasant experience. So thank you very much, Blessy. I've shared your LinkedIn profile. Everyone, you can add Blessy. Remember, one of the best practices we mentioned in our LinkedIn webinar, which is basically always send a small message saying, hi, Blessy, I participated in your webinar. It was very interesting. Thanks for adding me to your professional network. It is always a good practice also because we never know when we may come again in touch with this person. For instance, let's say I go to a conference on education and I add to my LinkedIn profile many people. If I don't send them this message, probably even if they add me to their professional network, in 2 years, 3 years, I won't remember how we meet each other, right? How we met, how do we know each other? So if I send a message, hey, Paul, it was nice talking to you at the conference. I liked your reflection on how education is, blah, blah, blah. Nice staying in touch. So then in me, myself, in the future, I can say, oh, I met this person at this education conference. Or even the other way around, if I need to ask this person, someone, oh, hi, Paul, I saw you are sharing all these posts for the company you work. Do you remember we met a couple of years ago at this conference? This is so much helpful, and it just only takes a couple of minutes. And in this way, you know, as now all the messages are stored and saved, in the future, in a couple of years, you know where you met this person from, and it makes a lot of difference because the person goes back to that memory and says, oh yeah, remember that conference, blah blah blah, and it creates automatically a new bond. So put that in practice. And here, Blessy, I see you're sharing the chat some pages where we can prepare for interviewing, right?
These are some, links. I think I've shared it to the host and panelist. I did not check that.
Yes.
These are some links that you can use in the interview. They're really good. I cross-checked them, and that's the reason I'm sharing it over here. So you can go for it. I mean, there is also simplylearn.com. This is really nice for specifically for AWS kind of, roles if you're looking for. Different kind of questions are there. You can prepare yourself, and it can help you to be more confident. And make sure, I'm not pretty sure if you can reach out to your internship supervisor, just ask one question to them. What kind of an impact and value you added in that organization? A very constructive feedback you get, that will definitely talk about the value you added in that organization, and that can show your experience in numbers. And that is something you can talk about during your upcoming interviews as well.
Excellent, Blessy.
So
Love that piece of advice. Well, Blessy, hope you have a wonderful night. Please go sleep. And for the rest of us who are not, who are in daytime, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And it's been a pleasure for me to host this series of webinars. We'll be connected anyway. In 3 weeks, we have a new webinar coming up. And be attentive. You will receive the slides of all these webinars tomorrow in your inbox. So thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy.
thank you. Bye. Take care.